It's a game I've seen on a bunch of YouTube channels over the years. Oni Plays, James and Mike, The Completionist, Snes Drunk. Even a nostalgia critic played this game. The guy who reviews movies tried to make a Let's Play. And it isn't even the worst idea he's ever had. The Simpsons Bart's Nightmare is unlike any game I've played in the 16-bit era. I don't even know what genre this game falls in. I'm not even sure if this game really exists, and maybe I imagined it. Since I grew up on the Super Nintendo version of Bart's Nightmare, that's the one we'll be looking at. It came out in North America first on October of '92, and almost a year later on the Sega Genesis. At this point, The Simpsons could have been somewhere between Season 3 and 4, so you're not going to see too many references beyond the first 2 seasons. You'll see Smilin' Joe Fission, and the devil from that episode where Bart gets hit by a car. That's how far back this game goes. And we're not going into details like, the Super Nintendo has more colors and better sound, or the Genesis has less slowdown and more transparency effects. Channels like Console Wars have already gone in depth about the differences. At the end of the day, the gameplay is still the same despite how many hairs we split. I also don't think I need to go into detail about the source material. Everyone and their mother has at least heard about The Simpsons regardless of if they watch it or not. I guarantee you people know who Homer Simpson is even if they've never had a TV in their house. In the 90s, The Simpsons was one of the biggest shows on television. It was a monster, a multi-award-winning juggernaut that is somehow still on the air with 33 seasons and counting. I have no idea what life is like without The Simpsons in syndication. In its prime, it was probably the smartest social commentary you could find, and some sort of oracle that is still predicting the future decades later. Now it's just Homer learning how to floss and Lady Gaga making out with Marge.
At first they were cute and funny, but now they're just annoying.
This show has been dead longer than most of you watching this have been alive. So naturally video games would come from The Simpsons, and there's been a ton of them. Some good, and some terrible ones. And the company that owned the licensing rights to make Simpsons games during the 90s was Acclaim Entertainment. Acclaim handled ports of Midway games like the Mortal Kombat home releases, which were huge at the time, and a bunch of licensed games, especially for the NBA and the WWF or WWE, and with a bunch of subsidiaries under its belt, including the infamous LJN, which stands for Laughing Joking Numbnuts according to Wikipedia, and everybody knows that if Wikipedia says it's true, then it absolutely must be. With some of the most popular IPs licensed at the time, it seemed like Acclaim was on top of the video game industry food chain. Until they declared Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2004, and the Acclaim trademark was sold for a miserable $100,000. Now let me ask you, the viewer, why do you think Acclaim went bankrupt? Was it because A, their game sold like shit and they lied about their earnings, while the higher-ups lined their pockets and fired their employees? B, they had ass-backward promotional campaigns, like offering €500 and a new Xbox as a prize to whoever named their newborn baby Turok, or offering to put ads on your deceased family member's tombstone to promote Shadow Man 2. Or C, tons of lawsuits like Dave Mirra suing them for putting nudity in one of his games without his permission, or the Olsen twins suing for breach of contract over unpaid royalties. The correct answer is D, all of the above. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Acclaim. I'll just say that if you want to run a successful business, always do the opposite of what Acclaim did.
Blast that infernal hard.
Seriously, it's just bad decisions followed by even worse decisions. You could shoot Ryan Kaiji in the face with the shotgun and still have better PR than Acclaim. Bart's Nightmare is another game that I can't really find an accurate sales number for. Since it was a licensed game from a huge publisher like Acclaim, I would assume that it wouldn't be too hard to find a copy. Bart's Nightmare was developed by Sculptured Software Inc., which became Acclaim Salt Lake City after its merger. I think the most interesting thing about them is that they developed the Doom port for the Super Nintendo. Say what you want about SNES Doom, but the fact that this thing even runs on a Super Nintendo is mind-blowing. Upon researching this game, I discovered some information about the designer for Bart's Nightmare, except he was credited under miscellaneous instead of designer. His name is Bill Williams. He quit his job and gave up on the industry before Bart's Nightmare was even finished. According to Williams, he was told to rework the game numerous times, which led to him quitting out of frustration. He later passed away after a lifelong battle with cystic fibrosis at just 37 years old, one day short of his 38th birthday. Bart's Nightmare would be the last game he ever worked on. He had some ambitious ideas as a developer, even during his Atari 8-bit computer days. He made a game called Relax, which was a game you play with a headband that monitors your muscle tension, some cassette tapes, and an electromyograph. This is the kind of bullshit people from 1964 thought we would have in the year 2000. And since I've never owned an Atari 800, I have no idea if this actually worked. The Super Nintendo music and sound was done by Mark Gatiss and Kingsley Thurber, while Dean Morrill did the Genesis music. Thurber and Morrill really don't have any credits outside of Acclaim games, but Gatiss would become a sound designer for the Call of Duty series. It's not a terrible soundtrack. It even references the Simpsons theme. It does its job well, but listening to the Hub World theme for an extended period of time may cause you to stab your brain with a Q-tip to end your prolonged suffering. Or just mute the TV, that's probably a more sensible option. Since Bart's Nightmare has about 5 songs in its entire soundtrack, I'm playing whatever the hell I want for most of this video. I am never gonna get sick of this soundtrack. Believe me, I've tried. The plot isn't too complicated. Bart is doing his homework until he falls asleep and enters the dream world. His homework flies out the window and it's up to you to get all 8 pages of his homework so he can get a decent grade. Let's be honest here. The only time I've ever seen Bart actually try to apply himself in the first 2 seasons was when he was in danger of being held back. Bart was that century's Dennis the Menace. It wouldn't make sense for him to do his homework otherwise. Up until then, Bart was an underachiever and proud of it, and he would definitely cheat or fake an illness to avoid a test. It would probably make more sense if this was a Lisa game, but Lisa's boring and her game would probably suck, so that's out. There's always the possibility of a Maggie game. We could just give her a gun and call it a day. Before we start, just look at the back of the manual for Bart's Nightmare. Terminator 2 and Spider-Man and the X-Men and Arcade's Revenge are on the back. Holy shit. Some 90s kid got their Christmas ruined that year. Both of them showed up in an AVGN video, by the way. That's how hard they sucked. I will say that Arcade's Revenge has a godlike soundtrack that's shown up a bunch of times in my videos. It's that Fallen Brothers curse again. This is where you start. Get used to this hub world. You are going to be very familiar with this place. Very familiar. The manual calls it the Windy World, but I call it Purgatory, and soon you'll be calling it that too. It doesn't seem like much at first, but the longer you play, the crazier it gets. I should probably start this off by explaining how this world works. Your health bar is this thing with all these Z's inside of it. You get hit, you lose a Z, lose all of them and you're screwed. You can collect Z's with your bubble gum, just don't get the red ones. I didn't even know that you could control the gum with the X button and the D-pad this whole time. You can also get some by riding a skateboard you get from jumping over a basketball. If that doesn't make any sense to you, sit down. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. There's an entire table in the manual that I guarantee most kids haven't read before they started the game. If you didn't have a manual or the internet at the time, you'd probably be shit out of luck. It takes up 2 pages. I feel like I need a degree just to play this damn thing. As you walk around this hub world, you'll find a paper. If you think it's just debris flying in the wind, you'll be here forever. You need these if you want to win. Jump into it and you get a choice between 2 doors. Each door is a level depending on the color, and you can do any level in any order you feel like. Finish the level and you get 1 of 8 pages of Bart's homework. Collect all 8 if you want the best grade. All the rank does is determine how upset or happy your family will be. And you want that A+ grade so you can wipe that smug look right off Lisa's face. This is Otto. He's an asshole. Just one of the many obstacles you have to deal with. He just knows when you're thinking about crossing the street. Just like the Spanish Inquisition, you never expect him. And the worst part about him is that he's such a huge object that I wind up getting hit by something because I can't see behind the bus. And I stay at the top because that's where the mailboxes are. And you get useful items from them. More on that later. You're now killing viruses in a bloodstream. I think Bart's idea of curing diseases is a lot better than Dr. Mario's method of shoving all the pills down your throat until either they die or you do. They just give away medical licenses in the Mushroom Kingdom. You kill the viruses like in Dig Dug, by inflating them until they explode. Probably the most painful way to die. There's 2 kinds of viruses. Ones with spikes on their heads that can save a virus in danger, or the ones who throw grenades at you. They kill you in 1 hit. There are no lives here. So if you get hit, you go back to... When I say kill these fuckers first, I mean it. Or kill these red ones because they clear the screen. What the fuck was that? Oh, it's just a really obscure Simpsons reference. That's Smilin' Joe Fission. the mascot for the nuclear power plant.
Hi there, energy eaters!
The Simpsons Wikipedia has him labeled deceased. He apparently died and you can see his skeleton in season 28. I don't know what's crazier, the fact that he was a real person in the Simpsons universe, or that they killed him off. He did nothing to deserve this. He shows up after you get a kill. Collect him and you'll eventually get your homework.
Whoa!
And I know exactly what episode that shit comes from.
Whoa!
My devotion to these yellow people runs deep. Very deep. This is Bart's dream. He's gotta have superpowers or some kick-ass weapons like laser guns and what have you. He's the gamer, a comic book reader, a kid who's seen tons of R-rated movies. He even quotes A Clockwork Orange for fuck's sake.
Can I slog off school tomorrow? Got a pain in me Gulliver.
So Homer was mad at his son for watching porn, but he's okay with his son watching an X-rated film with 2 rape scenes in the first 10 minutes? So what does Bart have in his dream arsenal? Watermelon seeds, gum, and soda. I assumed Bart would have a more active imagination, but TV has ruined him.
Damn TV, you've ruined my imagination, just like you've ruined my ability to
You can't kill anything except this walking TV. You can, however, gum everyone. And it scares the living shit out of Lisa. This level has some pros and cons. It has you fighting Itchy and Scratchy, which is what I expect from a Bart game. And their designs are taken from the episode Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, which is one of the best episodes of all time. If I get a Porch Pals level in this game, I'm probably gonna lose my shit. Now let's talk about the things I hate about this level. Almost everything kills you in one shot. Itchy's bazooka, Scratchy's flamethrower, and the vacuums. Sometimes I wonder why they bothered to put a life bar here when there's so many instant deaths in this game. And if you run out of lives here, that's right, there's lives now. And to make matters worse, you spawn without a weapon. You have to pick up this blue mallet and entrust your life to it because they gave you a mallet to fight a bazooka and a flamethrower. Even the phone and the Marge painting are out to kill you. Is anybody else creeped out by the fact that a painting of Marge is throwing its eyeballs at you? Bart is one fucked up child. You want the extinguisher. It's your best chance of survival. Here's another reason why this level sucks. You get hit once, it downgrades you back to the mallet, and when you die, you start with nothing again. Hit these light bulbs to get some extra lives. Then get the plunger gun upstairs. The plunger gun is the BFG of this level. Just stand still and hold the fire button and you win. It's the perfect weapon to take into the kitchen. There is one cardinal rule to adhere to when you enter the yellow door. Whatever you do, never set foot in the kitchen.
What kind of place is this?
The kitchen is the 9th circle of hell. Instead of wasting time explaining every hazard, I'll just tell you that everything is trying to kill you. This is the personification of a Vietnam flashback. And if you have to fight Itchy and Scratchy in this section with the mallet, I'd say God help you, but I'm pretty sure he's abandoned you at this point. The mouse chucks a knife that one-shots you. I guess Bart can't be depicted being impaled on a giant knife in a game marketed to children, so they electrocuted him instead. You have a split second to react to it because he always throws it off screen. Even if you have Bayonetta's reflexes and try to jump over the knife, you'll probably fall on it because of how long the damn thing is, or how crappy your jump is. So what's the right way to approach this bullshit? You can try the soda, which is actually a weapon, but I always assumed it was a hazard, so I avoided it. If you lost a gun, you can always climb on top of the counter and wait for your moment to strike. And that's the third reason why this level sucks. You can snap this level in half by taking the high ground. If I stand on top of this chair, I'm unstoppable. Maybe Obi-Wan was right about the high ground after all. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Ben. You get a homework page as a reward for surviving. You may take solace in the fact that you will never, ever have to see another yellow door ever again. Oh, fuck you. If you didn't think it was possible for the yellow door to get worse, it found a way. Welcome to Hell Part 2. There are 4 sections this time, including another kitchen level. Yay. Itchy and Scratchy are in the doorways and they throw mouse traps or stick their tongues out at you. Other than that, there's not much different here. You still get assaulted by vacuums and crap. Then you meet the boss of the yellow door. Just think about who it could be. It could be Skinner, Mrs. Krabappel, one of Bart's bullies, or maybe even Sideshow Bob. It's a furnace. It shoots fire at you. That's it. If you somehow manage to carry the plunger gun all the way here, 8 shots. If you didn't, you get to use the fire extinguisher, which seems like the best weapon for this fight, but it takes forever to kill this furnace with the fire extinguisher. I can either blame the devs for putting me through this, or blame Bart for having a crappy imagination. I'm gonna do both. The thing that bugged me the most about this is that whenever I played this game, this was the last door for me. I just assumed the final boss of Bart's Nightmare was a furnace. All your ammo, including your gum, is limited, so you need to jump over mailboxes to stock up. Sometimes you get an arrow that points in whatever direction the next paper is. Sometimes you end up walking in the wrong direction for minutes before one of these things shows up. And sometimes the large foreground trees can hide the homework so you walk right past it. Why do these trees take up so much real estate? Why couldn't they make these trees transparent or something? And sometimes you have to meet certain conditions like killing the walking TV or using your soda to clear the screen. So you wind up walking for what feels like an eternity, wasting your time. You'll start to see more things populate the hub world the longer you play. You got Blinky, the 3-eyed fish. If you jump over Blinky, you get a pillow. Get 3 of them and you get an extra continue if you lose your Z's. Saxophones with wings that reverse your controls. Mud that slows you down unless you jump in the center of it. We can't forget about Bart's bullies, Jimbo, Dolph, and Kearney, who happen to be unavoidable and serve to piss you off. They push you in the opposite direction, and you have to summon Lisa with the saxophone so she can turn them into rats. Or use the soda. Principal Skinner, who's carrying your Sunday church outfit for some reason. And you want that outfit. You won't be able to spit gum or walk very fast, but the invincibility makes it worth it. Lisa fairies that turn you into a frog. And this old lady who changes you back. Who is this woman and what episode is she from? The manual calls her Grandma, but she isn't Bart's grandmother. She's not Mona Simpson or Jacqueline Bouvier. At first I thought it was Mrs. Glick, the old lady who Bart did chores for so he could buy Radioactive Man #1, but she looks nothing like her. I think the real question is, why is Bart dreaming about being kissed by random old ladies? This is more like it. This is the kind of stuff you would expect in Bart's imagination. A shoot-'em-up with the slingshot that uses actual slingshot physics. I don't think I've ever seen this implemented in any other shoot-'em-ups before. So what enemies do you face here?
Dang.
The rockets aren't too hard to dodge, and you might still get hit by them, but they are not the worst enemy here. This bastard never dies and it follows you until a boss shows up. The cloud is relentless, but this level is way more forgiving than the other levels. You can actually replenish your health with soda, either from these crusty balloons, or from a poo riding a magic carpet. I can hear Hardy Kondabaloo screaming in anger over this image. You can even get some Z's for your overworld health too. And this level is full of bosses like Barney and his pink elephant, Sherry and Terry, and once they go above the screen you're screwed. And Smithers. Fuck Smithers. His dart missiles take away half your health. And when he uses up all of his missiles, he runs away. Afterwards you get to the worst section of the level, the nuclear clouds, which are almost impossible to get through without taking a hit. The openings are so narrow that you wind up grazing the green clouds, and some developer thought it was funny to put rockets here too. You clear the clouds and... it's Smithers. Again. His missiles take some finesse to dodge, or you can blow them up if you're fast enough. I think he has a blind spot above him, and you can get a kill on him from there. Even if you've killed him before, he will show up again. So after a few more rockets and Nelson coming from the background on his hang glider, you get to fight Mr. Burns. Consider this payback for hitting me with your car. It's a weird fight. You have to keep shooting to fill the screen with bullets, and you have to keep moving up and down to avoid getting shot. You can't just hit him directly because he always wins. Keep moving up and down and shooting and you'll eventually beat him. With the casual sucker punching and nuclear cloud section aside, This is probably my favorite area out of all of them. It doesn't exactly have the best competition so far. I can imagine one of the sound guys going up to another guy and asking him what the sound of a statue head dying would sound like. And this was their answer. And you're gonna hear this sound a lot. These are the worst things you'll have to deal with here. There is no end to these fucking things. If the Super Nintendo could handle it, the devs would probably fill the entire screen with these bastards. I feel like I'm playing Legendary Dark Knight mode with these goddamn statue heads. How much repressed guilt does this child have for vandalizing that damn statue? Also, when you walk in the same direction as them, they bug out. You'll also start to notice that it takes longer for the next page to show up. A lot longer. Minutes at a time. Other than jumping over stuff, spitting, skateboarding, moonwalking, dying, and getting turned into a frog, there really isn't much to keep you occupied here. I start screwing around with the overworld at this point, like getting gum stuck in everyone's face, or spitting seeds to make this old lady walk faster. The limit is your imagination, assuming sensory deprivation hasn't already kicked in at this point. There's not much to explain here. You're a big green kaiju when you blow shit up. You use the face buttons to shoot your laser in different directions, and you use the D-pad to spit fire. You don't control Bartzilla at all. Just make sure he doesn't take too much damage or you lose. It comes down to shooting the planes, helicopters, and tanks before they shoot you. I don't understand why there's no health meter here when the other level had one. There's no way for me to gauge how much health I have or how many hits I can take before I die. And you can cancel your own lasers? That's a paddling. Regardless, I fuck with this level. You can blow up the helicopters in the foreground, you kick buildings to clear the screen, you blow up this bullet train for style points. You're the king of the monsters. You're unstoppable. Shit. By the way, some doors like the green one give you the chance to get more than one paper at a time. Once the shrink ray hits, you finish the first half of the level. Now you get to play the second half. Once a powerful Goliath able to strike fear into the hearts of man and monster alike. Reduced to being humiliated by the tragedy of irony. You have to climb the skyscraper while avoiding all the shit the tenants are dropping on your head. Fun fact, the Super Nintendo version has people throwing a Model 1 Genesis out the window, while the Genesis version replaces them with Super Nintendos. And just for fun, they attack you off screen. And sometimes you just can't avoid them. And sometimes March shows up to ruin your day. Suddenly, this little game of a cartoon lizard boy climbing a building turned into a survival horror game. She cannot be harmed. She is inescapable. And when you least expect it... Fuck this, I'm climbing the side. You bastards thought of everything, didn't you? When you make it to the top, you get to meet Homer Kong and his giant fist. If you press one of the face buttons, you do this. You have to time this so that when Homer punches you, your energy or whatever returns him to normal. It's Homer in his trademark brown shirt and green pants. Either this is one of those bootleg merchandise Homers, or he's cosplaying as Dexter Morgan. I've been stuck inside this liminal space for what feels like an eternity. Has it been an hour? A day? Maybe a whole year has passed. Time is meaningless now. Trapped inside with only my memories to keep me company. I wonder if I'll ever see my family and friends again. Maybe this is the afterlife, and I'm doomed to wander until the end of time. I seriously have maybe an entire hour's worth of footage from this one area alone. And since I gave Plock shit for it, I'm going to give this game shit for it too. No save battery or password at all. You gotta do this all in one sitting if you want to get all 8 pages and a decent grade. Before you die, or wake up, whichever comes first, the windy world gets covered in this white fog. Most people who have played this game are very familiar with this setting. This tells you that you have one more hit before you die, and if you die here, then the game's over. You'll be graded on how many papers you get, and how many points you have. Then you start all over again.
Oh shit! Oh god damn it!
The layout for the pillars with regard to their traps is ridiculous.
Also, I hate that. What just happened?
And
Unless you've entered the orange door, you've never experienced true fear. Nothing in this world can prepare you for the survival puzzle game referred to as Indiana Bart. You move from pillar to pillar. The one you jump on sinks, and it raises another one somewhere else. If the pillar is on fire, it will fall and kill you.
I hate this so much. I fucking hate this.
The eggs give you an extra life, but if you get too greedy, the giant bird snatches you and you lose a life. The devil makes an appearance here. He's blue now. It's probably some censorship bullshit, but your guess is as good as mine on this one. His job is to fuck with you. He'll poke you in an attempt to knock you into your death. That's where your whip comes in. I always thought Bart and the Prince of Darkness were best of friends. Even the Flanders devil knows him.
Hey, Bart.
Hey.
There's even a green devil you meet later on. Let me just get my whip and... The longer I play this game, the more I've come to hate it. But he isn't the reason why this level sent me to a therapist. This bitch has caused me nothing but pain and suffering in my childhood. It doesn't matter how fast you are, or how far away you are. She always wins. I got 2 different kinds of devils after my ass. I'm surrounded by fire and vultures. Why are you doing this to me? When you finish this level, you get some homework. And you get to do another level. There's no secret level skip to the left here. Seems like a failed opportunity if you ask me. If you've played this game before and you struggled with Maggie, you might not like what you are going to see. Brace yourself for this. Press the R button to move the camera. This one small oversight has broken this level in half. That's not even the worst part about this trick. I learned it from watching a fucking Navigator video. So in his Bart's Nightmare video, he says,
"Everything about this game is top-notch."
And then in the next sentence, he says,
"The game is virtually impossible to beat."
So which one is it? I do not recommend you watch this guy unironically. He thought Symphony of the Night was a disappointment.
Ooh, you better believe that's a pendant.
It was around this level that it finally occurred to me. This game wasn't tested very well. Or maybe it was rushed. Or maybe both. But something is off. This game was abandoned by its maker, Bill Williams, before it was finished. So I can't really say how much of this game was actually completed. I feel like some corners were definitely cut. The camera trick, or glitch, or whatever you want to call it, feels like something that should have been noticed and fixed if the game was tested properly. There were a bunch of times in my playthroughs where I exploited the hell out of this game. I'm not trying to speedrun. These were discovered from just playing the game casually or by complete accident. There were also some times throughout the game, especially in the Bartman stage, where there was some significant slowdown. And check this out. But if I had to point the finger at someone, it would definitely be Acclaim's management without a doubt. Whose side am I gonna take? The game designer who made a game you control with your brain? Or the company that encouraged reckless driving to promote a video game? It's a frustrating mess of a game at times. It's trying to do 6 games at once, and doing them okay, when it could have decided on being just one game and focused on that. I feel like the whole game could have just been the door levels without the windy world. Just have them as levels that come after each other just like any other video game. Why the fuck do I need to waste my time in this purgatory? In this endless loop, jumping over the same enemies over and over again? With the same looping background of what is probably the world's longest block with the same music on repeat. It's really no surprise that Virtual Bart would scrap the hub world idea altogether. There are way too many instant deaths and no continues. There are levels that only give you a few chances, or one chance, then you have to go back to purgatory until a paper decides whenever it wants to show up, so you can die again and repeat the same process. And that's assuming you can even survive in the hub world when there's 800 statue heads trying to kill you. And Otto. A lot of people struggle with this game for this reason. Bart's Nightmare feels more like an experiment rather than a video game. It's like a test of patience, especially if you're trying to get the A+ grade. So to get an A+, you have to get 150,000 points on top of getting all 8 homework pages. Otherwise, you'll just get an A if you get all 8. You may even get a B+. The only reliable method of getting 150,000 points is to farm. I chose to farm on the furnace with the fire extinguisher that spawns behind it. Just stand still and hold the fire button. Just be thankful that A+ is the highest grade possible and we haven't adopted S ranks in schools. Although it would be amazing if my report card looked like the Devil May Cry results screen. And you know what? I did it. I got the A+. Suck it, Krabappel. In the end, the Simpsons gather in front of the fridge to witness the impossible. An A+ from Bart. That's pretty much the gist of it. I don't really understand how grabbing pieces of paper in a dream world translated to an A+ in the real world. Did he complete his homework in his sleep? Did Lisa cover for him? Well, this is it. This is your good ending. Your reward for surviving hell itself. A staff roll. You should be disappointed. At least give me some kind of incentive for going the distance. I'll even take a New Game Plus at this point. I changed my mind. I think I'm good. I've given this a mostly negative review up to this point, but there is a ton of love for the Simpsons source material here, and it feels like a lot of passion was put into this game by the developers. The graphics aren't bad, and the animations are pretty good for a Super Nintendo game from 1992. Bart's Nightmare has some interesting gameplay ideas as well. The interactive hub world leading into these minigames wasn't something I've seen in many games from this era, and these levels aren't terrible from a conceptual standpoint, but the execution is where this game suffers the most. The hub world gets old pretty quick and some of these levels could use some more tuning. If I had $1 for every one-hit kill in this game, I could buy an animation cell of Scratchy's arm. They expected children to beat this shit. It's not a terrible game, and there are much worse Simpsons games out there. But as far as licensed games go, it kind of feels like a Simpsons episode, which is more than I can say for most other licensed games out there. An honest effort was made here, and Bill Williams hated the idea of making a low-effort cash grab instead of a passion project. There's no way of telling what kind of game Bart's Nightmare could have been, or what Williams could have done had he not turned his back on the industry. And AAA studios fucking over passionate and hard-working employees only became more and more rampant over the years. And that's just the stuff we know about. So yeah, play some Bart's Nightmare to pay your respects to Bill Williams. Then raise your middle finger to pay your respects to Acclaim.